It's actually live streaming. Hold on. It's actually live streaming. It's all good. It's the same thing. All right. Shalom, Yahweh Hashem Yahushua Brakatham, Yahweh Shemaratham Hashem Yahushua. This is the ISUPK. Started out at 1 West, 125th Street, Harlem, New York, under Commanding General Yohanan. What we do here in the ISUPK is we teach the truth of the Bible to so-called Black, Hispanic, and Native American Indians, or the real Israelites according to the scriptures. Today is Friday, so it's our Lashawan Kodash class. I have a class a little bit early today, all right? But in this, what we've done over the past week, we've gone over some of our prayers that we do in the school, but we've broken it down word for word, and we have broken down in the Lashawan Kodash in the ancient Hebrew dialect to give us a better understanding of the Hebrew prayer we call the power prayer or Hakach prayer. Okay, the Hakach prayer is the power prayer. You understand? And so we're just going to briefly go over this. We're not going to spend the class on this because I want to go into more basic things today. So if you're new to these classes, this is a more advanced class because it's going into a lot more intricacies in the language and this words and vocabulary. So today we're going to do more basic things, but I want to just go ahead over this real quick so y'all can see what it looks like if you haven't seen this before. So the power prayer in the Hebrew, and the full breakdown of it goes like this. The Most High, Yahweh, in the name, Bahasham, Yahushai, Christ. Baba Kusha means please, or I beseech you is another way of saying it. Baba Kusha, Nathan Lanawa. Nathan Lanawa means give us the power, Hakach. So you're going to see Hakach repeated multiple times throughout the prayer. So first thing he's going to mention, the power to heal all sickness and all disease. It goes Hakach, Lara Pa'ah, Kal Machala, Wakal Marawa. Again, Hakach, Lara Pa'ah, Kal Machala, Wakal Marawa. So we're saying the power to heal all sickness and all disease. Wakal Marawa. Okay. The power to cleanse the lepers. Hakach, La Tahar Ha Matazarayim. Hakah La Tahar Ha Matazarayim. The power to cleanse the lepers. The power to the rising of the dead. It says Hakah La Hakwiyam. La Hakwiyam. To the rising. To the raising of the dead. Hamathium. Excuse me. Mawath means to die, right here, Mawath. Hamathium, the power against spirits that are unclean, against spirits that are unclean. So it's saying Hakah al Rahawath. The root word is Raha. The word for spirit is Raha. Against, which is al, against spirits. So wath is added at the end here to notify that the actual term spirit is plural. Al-Rakah wath. And we got the unclean, ha tama'ala. Unclean is tama'ah. Ha tama'ala. To cast them out, la garashan. Cast out is garash. Garash. La Garashan, Bahasham, Yahushai, the water, Aman. In the name of Christ, thank you, so be it. So this is the power prayer broken down word for word to give us a more accurate understanding of how this is broken down when we read it, getting the vocabulary, learning the actual individual phrases, something that I've been wanting to go over. So I went ahead and prepared that class for y'all last time. We're going to read it one more time. Then I'm going to erase the board, and we're going to do the alphabet today, the Assyrian alphabet. Okay? So the power prayer, Hakah, Yahweh, Bahasham, Yahushai, Baba Kusha, Nathan Lanoah, Hakah, Lara Pa'ah, Kal Machala, Wakal Marawa, Hakah, La Tahar, Hamatazarayim, Hakah, La Hakwiyam, Hamathium, Hakah, Al-Rochawa, Hatama'ala, Lagarashun, Bahasham, Yahawashai, the water Aman. And again, in the power prayer in English is Most High in the name of Christ. Please give us the power to heal all sickness and all disease, the power to cleanse the lepers, the power to raise the dead, the power against unclean spirits, to cast them out in the name of Yahweh Shai. Thank you, so be it. So that's the power prayer. I'm going to leave that on the board for a second. I don't expect you to have enough time to write it all down, but definitely screenshot it while I get a chance to share the class since we are live right now. Y'all just bear with me 1 second. Let me see.
They just know some bullshit. They just this money, that money. They can't be the rich. Yeah, I hate talking about this. Yeah, because I was supposed to, matter of fact,
give it a little bit of time.
I really was, I got accelerated coming in. I got hit by 18 wheeler last year, late March. So my case is already going. Now they try to give me my money. I was supposed to have a fee.
1 second, y'all. I just almost got this done here.
But it was supposed to be useful. Like I was supposed to actually go to my lawyer office in Houston and meet with him. And he was supposed to have a conference call and everything. Just everything. So they didn't know.
So again, this is the power prayer in the Lashawan Kodash. You understand? And so that way we have it all broken down. And I still got to make the playlist, but I'm going to be making that playlist, adding this to the playlist on our YouTube channel. You're going to see the playlist with the breakdown of all of our prayers. This is for our school in the ISUPK. Other schools, you may try to duplicate it, but never. Always I say, often imitated, never duplicated. This is why we teach the ancient Hebrew. It is our culture. We're supposed to come back to our culture, our language. When they call us Hebrew Israelites, the reason why we're called Hebrew Israelites is because Hebrew is our language. Israelite is our nationality. You can't separate the two. They're all pretty much one and the same in regards to our culture. Go ahead and clean this up here. Bear with me 1 second. Now that Hebrew, when we say Hebrew, comes in different forms. Technically, there are 4 different types of Hebrew. We just do 2 of them. Okay, we just do 2 of them, and the Assyrian and the ancient Hebrew are the ones that you'll see us use. We prefer the ancient Hebrew for our garments. We prefer the ancient Hebrew for our scrolls. You understand? And the dialect of the ancient Hebrew, even when we use the modern Hebrew characters. But it's important to know both, because I could do the whole entire alphabet in the Lashawan Kodash, but not a lot of apps are going to have those very same characters. So when I do this alphabet here, ba, ga, da, ha, wa, za, and we got cha, ta, ya, ka, la. This is exactly what you're seeing right here. Ma, na, sa, I, pa. This I is a perfect circle. It's supposed to be closed up. And we got Taza, Kwa, Ra, Sha, and Ta. So this is your Hebrew, your ancient Paleo Hebrew alphabet. For those of you that may not have seen this before, this is where we get our shalom from, Yahweh, you know what I'm saying? All of our names are Yalawans. For example, my name is Officer Yalawan. Yalawan. All right, now if I were to write it in the Assyrian, it would look like this. It would go Ya, and then you got La right here. It kind of looks a little strange. It's kind of like this. La, and then Wa is technically just a line like that. And then Ind and Na actually looks like a longer version of Wa, because there are some rules to follow when you're talking about the Assyrian Hebrew. I'm, of course, drawing the connectors so you can see how to pronounce it. Ayalawan, Ayalawan. You understand? So that's just there's a difference between the Assyrian and the modern Hebrew, and the way that it's pronounced by us is, and for lack of a better term, the more ancient version, because there's no vowels in the ancient Hebrew. So even when we use the modern Hebrew, we don't use it like as if some of these characters are vowels. But we will compare these two alphabets together and just understand that while the ancient Hebrew, and I've done classes on this before, the ancient Hebrew actually is pictorial. Each character represents something. Visually, it represents something. The Assyrian Hebrew doesn't necessarily do that. So we won't go completely into depth on that. That's not necessarily something we got to look at. Give me 1 second. I'll be right back. Now, what I want to do today is I just want to practice, and doing these classes is practice for me too. But I'm writing this on the board, and so that should be what you looking to do as well, because you want to get the practice in. Now, the reason why the Assyrian Hebrew is so important is because when we do the Sabbath service is done using different apps, right? And on those apps, you're more likely going to see those apps in the Assyrian Hebrew. So it's important to know at least the alphabet of the Assyrian Hebrew. And it's the same. It's going to line right up with these. We're going to do them one at a time. First one is Ah. And then you draw that by coming across like this, adding a leg here, adding a leg up here. If you want, you could draw a little bit of flares right here. But as far as the written form of the character Ah, it's going to look pretty much like that. I'm trying to keep it as accurate as possible. And then you see on the right side here, I'm going to just do a line of it so you can see more or less how I'm drawing it. Where I'm coming across like this, then I'm adding this, and then adding this. Some people will also do them like this. And that's fine too. It look a little late. It look a little off. But you know, everybody kind of got their flair. Mine is particular to going across like this, drawing this, and then throwing those on there. You understand? So the best way for you to learn the Hebrew is to practice writing it and practice saying it. So when you go across the screen, Ah, you say it. Ah. Kind of going away from the form a little bit. And that's why you want to keep practicing, so you can kind of get that repetition so that you could be more consistent with your writing. You understand? With your with the way you draw the characters. Ah. 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 Again. Ah. It's real simple. You grab you a notebook, a loose leaf piece of paper. I swear, honestly, there was a whole notebook that I had where I don't know how many, it was at least 30 pages, was just me practicing the alphabet, just like how you see here, where I would actually, and I would even go as far as to write the pronunciation so I don't forget how to say it right, because you'll look at the paper and you're gonna see just how much you practice it. Ah. You understand? Ah. Ah. So it's really about getting that repetition. You're pretty much going to see. Now, it's not like this, okay? Don't get lazy with it. You don't want to do that. You don't want to get used to it looking a specific way, because you might easily get it mixed up with something else. You want to try to keep the style consistent. You understand? Ah. That Assyrian is a little bit goofy, I know, but you got to bear with me. It's not as simple as the ancient Hebrew, you understand? So that's the character Ah. Our next character, Ba. Ba is going to come across a little flare like this, go across like that. Oh, I'm tripping. Stop, give me 1 second. Hey, yo. Why? Hey, look, crack. So why? Try to keep it down, because I don't want your voice on the camera. You know what I'm talking about? Wow. No, I'm just saying, careful. Don't speak too loud, because the class is going on. Come on. So Ba is going to come across like this. For lack of a better way of saying it, technically you can get away with just going in with the hook like that. Think about it kind of like a hook, you know, them hooks that have the it's actually more in the middle, but the hook kind of comes across like that. That kind of helps you remember more so what it's talking about when you're doing the character Ba. But Ba technically is going to come across, is going to go a little bit flared in like that, then across like that. You want to make sure not to stop right there. You got to go beyond it, because otherwise it's going to look like the character Ka, which you're going to see later on. So we're doing Ba right now. Now, again, there's no capital and lowercase. If anything, there's a capital, but it's on the other side of the of the word. Because when you have a character at the end, some characters have more than one version. You'll see that when we get to that. Okay, so Ba again looks just like this. Ba, like that. Ba, just like that. You know what I mean? Ba, like that. Ba. Going across like that. Ba. It's just real simple. You don't gotta do nothing too complicated with it. All you gotta do is come across like that and go a little bit beyond it. Ba. Again. Ba. Ba. That's it. That's the character Ba right there. And once you've done that enough times, you'll see it and you'll know how to say it, because you always said it when you wrote it. You understand? That's the important thing about the Hebrew, is getting that practice in. Then you have the character Ga, and we're just going down the line here, right? So they're lined right up. Ga is going to come across like a line like this, and then a line like this. Oh, Salaki. A little bit off. A little bit off. All you got to do is just go in like that and like that. That's Ga right there. Draw a little larger. Boom. Ga. Ga. For the Assyrian. We're going to practice that together. So you're just going to write it on the board here. Ga. Ga. Just like that. And Ga in the ancient Hebrew represents a camel. Like a workhorse, basically. And so it doesn't really look like that in the Assyrian, but it kind of sort of do. Not so much though. Ga. Again, you just come across like this, go across like that. Ga. Cross like this, like that. Ga. You see how I'm doing these? So I'm just going straight down. I'm going like this, come across halfway, boom, like that. Now, don't do like that. You might be able to get away with calling it like that, but like I said, you want to follow. If you want to make it look just like it does on our sheet work, you know what I'm saying? You're gonna come straight across like that with a little flare at the end, then you come through like that. Now it's gonna look more official. That's exactly how the language shows that it's supposed to look. All right. Again, ga, 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 and I'm saying it every time that I write it. Ga. Once you've done that enough, go on to the next character. Next character, da. Da. Da look like a T where the middle line is pushed over to the right. Okay. Da. Try not to draw it like that. That's incorrect. You don't want to do that. You want to draw the line and then draw the other line. So da. It's like this and then like this. You understand? Da. It's supposed to be more horizontal. My bad. Da. Da. All of the instructions I'm giving you are all important because again, you don't want to get the characters mixed up with other characters. There's other characters that will look similar but have a different style. And so you want to try to get the same amount of writing strokes as you see right here. There's two. There's 1, 2, da, like that. 1, 2, da, 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 da. The more that you see it, the more that you say it, the more that you write it, the more it all clicks. So you want to stay with that. Da, 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 da. And you can see the consistency starting to come together. Da. So every time you see that in the app, you'll know that's the character for da. All right. What comes after da? Ha. Ha comes after da, and it looks like that. This is a little bit wrote. Let's see if I can fix this. Boom. That's ha right there. Ha. This is the character ha. So now we're going to go over it. So you start with a line, then draw a line like this. Now don't draw it like that unless you're going to do that afterwards. But you're going to have to do that every time, and that's going to, that ain't really going to make it easy to do. You might as well just draw that line and get a little gap right there, then draw like that top part. Ha. Ha. Y'all seeing that? That's how you draw the character ha. 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 Same thing as before. You're just getting used to how you draw it, saying it as you draw it. Ha. Ha. There you go. Get more practice in with that. Ha. Now you don't gotta draw it like way crazy out here like that. You know what I mean? It don't need to be exaggerated. It's just line here, draw there. But make sure that's not connected. Otherwise, people might mix that up for something else. You want to be very specific. Ha. Ha. More or less, that's how it's going to look. That's the character ha. All right. What comes after ha? Wa. Wa is a little bit interesting because wa, technically, when it's written, it starts off like as if you're going right, but then immediately it drops straight down. Okay. So wa is going to look just like that. Now, when you look on certain apps, wa might just be a line. Wa might just look like that. Like it may literally just look like that. I know the Android app had it like that for a long time. and only now is it actually changing. But you may actually see some kind of a flare like this. The interesting thing is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. This is the sixth character of the alphabet. And a lot of conspiracy theorists out there are quick to say that the monster symbol on the Monster Can energy drink is actually the character Wa, and it has 3 of them right next to each other, which means 666. And people get all spooked out over that. I don't give a damn about that. We know that the white man's religion is the mark of the beast. Okay, so it all kind of comes together from their food processing to the religion to the politics. Everything's based off of the Roman Empire, and that is, of course, the beast in the scriptures. So when we're talking about the character Wa, think about it in Hebrew terms. Yes, it is the number 6, but Wa means to join together. And so, quite frankly, all you gotta do is just draw like that. Wa. Wa. If you're drawing on a loose leaf paper, make sure that the line on the loose leaf paper is just like this. And I'm telling you this because I'm going to show you how this is important later on, where when you're drawing on loose leaf paper, you have those halfway marks, right? You got the halfway marks on your loose leaf paper. Make it take up pretty much the whole thing, but don't go past it. Don't have it hovering up here. Just have it go from the top to the bottom of that space that you have to write in. You understand? So going across like this, Wa, Wa, Wa. That's how it's going to look when you write it, okay? Wa. Wow. It's not exactly a straight line. It just kind of curves straight down. Think about that stock. Remember when you bought that stock? What happened when you bought that stock? The white man made the algorithms go straight down. You lost your money. And then the moment that you pulled out of it, what they do, they went straight back up. Because that's just how it is, right? It's like it knows. It knows. It knows how to make you lose money. That's just there. You know what? The algorithms, right? Wow. Wow. And big up to you if you did make money in the damn stock market. This is what the line look like when you buy in. Wow. 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 That's the character Wa right there. You understand? That's the character Wa. All right. Then we got Za. This is again reason why I brought this up earlier. Don't be putting it in the middle. Put it on the right side when you do the character Da. Reason why I said that is because when we get to Za, you're gonna notice Za look kind of similar, but it's got some wavy lines. You understand? Specifically wavy lines. That's the character Za. Okay, Za. While it actually looks like an actual Z in the ancient Hebrew, it looked kind of like a drunk T. You ever seen? You know what I'm saying? This T getting a little crump with it. You know what I'm saying? Za. That's the character Za. It looked like a T, but it ain't. It's a Z. And it ain't. It's almost like this right here, right? Ga, but turned over. Like I said, don't get them mixed up though. So you got Za. Za again. Za. Just practice that line there. It ain't got to be exaggerated like that. You know what I mean? It just got to be enough to where you know it's got a little bit. You know what I'm saying? It look like it's about to dance or something. You know what I'm talking about? Za. Boom. Za. Same thing with the line that goes down. It just comes across like that. This is how it looks on the opposites test. This is how it looks on all of our literature. This is how it's supposed to look. You understand? Don't let the apps tell you otherwise. Za. And you just keep practicing it. Before you know it, you'll know exactly what Za looks like every time you see it. That's the character Za right there. We got next. We got Ka. Ka is next. Ka is one of the most well-known Hebrew characters. It's undeniably modern Hebrew characters, okay? And that is pronounced Cha, because this is a very harsh. This is like when we do the Hakach prayer. What I say, it was Ha, Cha. We just talked about at the beginning of class, the power prayer. So the Hakach prayer written in the Assyrian looks like that. Then you got this. I think Ka got one at the end, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah, end Ka go like this. Something like that. If I'm not mistaken. That's a different subject. We'll just stick with this right here. So Ka in the Assyrian Hebrew looked like a table. That's another reason why you gotta be careful with Ha and all these other characters, because you can't go past where you're supposed to go past unless you are supposed to actually do it. If you go try to draw the character Ha like this, someone's gonna think you got it mixed up with Ha. I think you got it mixed up with something else. You don't want to do that. You want to draw straight across and then evenly spaced two beams come across the bottom. That's Ka right there. Again, Ka, 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 Ka. You understand? That's Ka right there. All right? Ka. That's what it is. Next character, Ta. Now this one's a little bit harder to draw because you got to come across like that. Then you come across like this. Then you go like this. Okay? Ta. That would probably be as close as I could possibly get to looking like the way it does in the Assyrian. All right, Ta looks like that. Now, another way that people will draw it, they'll draw it like that and then come across like this. And that's cool and all. But from what I've seen, it's best to just draw almost like you draw, like, you know how when you was little and you try to draw birds flying in the air, you do this right here, right? You draw in the sky. Think about it like that, except go a little bit past with that left one right there. Boom. Then come across like that. You understand what I'm saying? So you're going to draw that first part. You're going to go boom, boom. Then you're going to square it off. But when you come back on that come up right there, you got to leave a little lip right there. Don't come coming across like that and then close it off like this. Okay? That's not how it's supposed to look. You're supposed to have a little bit of overhang right there. So you're coming across, boom, square it off, then have that little extra piece hanging off the side right there. That's how it looked like that. You understand? That's Ta. Let's go ahead and draw some of these. Ta. See if I can try to make it look a little less terrible. Ta. Ta. Make sure to leave that overhang there. You know what I'm talking about? Ta. 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 There it is. That's the character Ta. However, let me see. There's another character that looks a lot like it. Let's see. Yeah. Yeah. That's how the character Ya look. Now, the reason why I said earlier, when you're drawing on the loose leaf paper, the location of where you start is important because the characters Ya, Wa, and End, nah, look like this. Y'all see that? That's not literally how they look, but there are apps that make it look more or less like that. And these lines, they're not actually there to represent what the character looks like. They're there because I'm drawing what you see on the loose leaf paper when you're practicing. So the character Wa basically fills up the whole bar. The character Ya hovers in the air, and the End Na goes like normal, like a Wa does, but it goes a little bit beyond that. And you'll notice that a couple of characters in the Hebrew language, in the Assyrian, they do that. Okay, so I'm pretty sure it's Ka. Let's see. Yeah, Ka is this. All right. Now, when you're drawing this in the Assyrian Hebrew, it looks like this. like a little, like sometimes it even looks almost like an apostrophe in the air. But you ain't gotta really be all complicated with it. The one thing I will say though is that you don't want to get your Assyrian and your modern Hebrew, or sorry, your ancient and your modern Hebrew mixed up, because when you look at this, this looks like this. This looks like God in the ancient Hebrew. Don't get that mixed up. The reason why you avoid getting it mixed up is because one, this is probably the only character in all of Hebrew that's actually smaller and then hovers in the air. So when you're looking at that line where you're doing your practicing, you're going like this, hover it in the air. Yeah, 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 yeah. Like when we write the Most High's name, Yahweh, right? Yahweh. It look like that. It's just a real small little mark. Sometimes they even it damn near look like a dot. It's not really a dot, but it's just like a little mark like that. You understand? So make sure not to get that mixed up. Yah looks just like this. Yah, 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 Yah. Just like that. You understand? It's hovering in the air. It's off to the side. You know what I'm saying? It's that's the character Yah. Now we got Ka. And Ka looks a little bit like Ba if you're not careful, because Ba comes across down like that, then has that hook. Ka does this, but does not have that overhang on the bottom like the character Ba. So Ka looks like this, and Ba looks like this. Don't get them mixed up. Sometimes you'll see it more like that. That's how it might actually normally look. So Ka, don't get that mixed up with Ba. All right. This is one of the things you start remembering the more that you see it. So again, Ka coming over here. This is all you're doing for the whole alphabet is you're just writing it and practicing. Coming across Ka, just like that. Ka. Ka. Just like that, y'all. Ka. 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 This one's a little, now I'm getting too vertical with it. Make it go across more. Boom, just like that. Ka. And this is time for you to make your mistakes. When you're writing it down, practicing, you're going to look how goofy you wrote it. But as long as you have a really good reference point where you know how it's supposed to look, you won't go coming up with your own thing and going off into your own interpretation. You just got to stick with what it's supposed to look like, make it look like that. Now, La is another one that's pretty tricky because La comes in like that, then bulges out. Almost looks like you getting ready to draw a question mark, right? Damn near, but you're starting off with a little lip right there, and sometimes even you'll just see it just as a line, and then it'll come across like that, like as if you're doing a question mark. So La looks like that, and you want to get some practice in with it. La, La, La. You see why people like the ancient Hebrew better? Because we know La looks like an L. It's supposed to look like an L. I don't know what the heck this is right here. This is what the Assyrians. This is what Israel came up with in the Syrian captivity. So, you know, Lord bless them. You know what I'm talking about? La. 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 More or less, that's what La is going to look like when you see it on the apps. So when you're looking at the app, you're going to see it look like that. All right, next up, we got Ma. And Ma kind of tricky because Ma technically it'll just look like a square with a little overhang. Okay. But there's another version of it that's used at the end of a phrase that is just a square. Now, that's not too hard to remember, but you just got to make sure to know when to do that. So if I say Mayam, right? Mayam in the ancient Hebrew looks like, I think Mayam means water. If I say Mayam, all right, I'm just giving an example of a character or a word. Mayam in the Lashon Kodash looks like this. Mayam. And Mayam means water. That's kind of what you see right here. Water is the character. Ma actually looks like water. But Mayam in the Assyrian is going to look like this. Notice the difference? Hold on. Notice the difference between this one and this one. When a ma is used at the end of a character, it's going to look different. Remember, the beginning of a Hebrew word is on the right, not the left side. So you're coming across my yum, just like that. This one has the overhang on the lip. This one at the end does not. It's just basically damn near like a square or a rectangle. And that's the character ma in the Assyrian Hebrew. So we're going to practice that next. Ma. 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 Still leaving that overhang there just a little bit. Ma. 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 There it is again. So it's just a square when it's used at the end of a phrase. It has a little bit of an overhang when it's used anywhere else within the phrase. So don't get these mixed up. Again, it just comes through practice and seeing examples of it all throughout the scriptures. You know what I'm saying? Let me give you one more example before we move on to another character. Another example is the word bondage or Egypt, which is pronounced ma tazar yum. Ma tazar yum. Okay. That's another character that starts off with the M and ends with a different version of the M. Okay, we're going to do this in the Assyrian because we know in the Lashon Kodash we don't have that rule. It's just always going to look the same. But in the Assyrian, it's going to look like this. So it's ma. Now you got tazah, which is down there. Look like this. We're going to go over this one a little bit later. Tazar. Then you got ya. Then you got end ma, just like this. Okay, ma tazar yum. Ma tazar yum. Whereas the ma that's right here has that overhang, but this one does not have that. You understand? No overhang. But those are both mas. So that's the only thing about the Assyrian Hebrew you got to keep in mind. There's a couple characters that have an extra version. In fact, there was one that I skipped back when we did Ka, and it looks like this. Okay? And it goes beyond the line. Like if I were to draw like your loose leaf paperwork, right? Ka at the end of a phrase is going to say, it's going to look like this, like this, like that. It goes a little bit beyond it. It goes beyond it like that. So keep that in mind. That's why you see it overhang a little bit past the rest of the characters. Like if I were to draw Malak, which means king, Malak, there's your Ma, there's your La, and then you have your end Ka, like that. Notice that instead of stopping right here, it goes beyond it, and that's why you're going to draw your connector. You got to come down here to recognize it. You know what I'm saying? Malak is the word for king. So that's an example of having to use Ka at the end of a phrase. Okay? End Ka. That's what it looks like. Now, going back to the order where we was at, Na is the next character. Na, actually, look, so Na, technically, you could get away with it looking like this. Yeah. Nah, technically you can get away with it looking like this. This is what it looks like when it's written. Sometimes you'll see it drawn more like that, and that's just kind of depending on the flare, because you'll see some people they barely even deal with it like that. But if you want to make sure that it definitely stands out and make it a lot easier to recognize, it's gonna look like this. So nah, and then you got end nah. Nah and end nah. Nah, normally, just think of the letter 3. Nah, nah, nah. Just think of it kind of like a loose 3. Nah, nah, nah. That's how that look. Now, when you look at end nah is going to do pretty much exactly what Y is doing, where it starts off with a little curve, but it goes beyond normal. I'm exaggerating right here so you can get the idea. Instead of stopping right there, like, nah, you're actually going to continue to go a little bit further. You know what I'm saying? Exaggerate it just a little bit. That way you don't get that mixed up. You understand? Nah, at the end. It's a little bit exaggerated, but you get the point there. So nah is just basically a longer line. Certain apps will have Y, Ya, and nah looking very similar, but the only difference between them is how long the line is. Okay. So again, don't let that fool you. But you'll only see nah look like that at the end of a word. Okay. Sa be the next one. And Sa kind of looks like I in the Hebrew, but don't get it mixed up, because like a lot of characters in the Hebrew, there's a little bit of a lip. Look like I'm drawing a dude, like a head of a stick figure with a little bit of hair coming up like he got a cow, like some goofy haircut. You know what I'm saying? So you got Sa right here. And then if I draw it, notice how I'm drawing it. You could draw it like this, or you could draw it like this. Whatever you prefer, whatever works for you. You know what I'm saying? But just try to make sure to close off that circle. Don't make it look blocky, because then you're just gonna what? You're gonna make it look like something else. You don't want to do that. This one's more circular. You understand? So Sa coming at you like that. Sa. 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 That's the character Sa. There's no alternative version of it. It is what it is. Okay. Next up, got the character I. I and Tazah look very similar. I'm gonna show you how to make them. Make sure that you get them. You never get them mixed up. You come across like that, and then you go in over like that. So when you're doing the character I, make sure not to mess that up. I is gonna basically start off with you starting the line like this. Then you're gonna draw a little line across, come over like that. Boom. Close it off by curving out to the left. I. 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 So that's how you draw the character I. Now, the character Pi actually looks very similar to the way it does in the ancient Hebrew. You understand? It looks very similar. The only difference is they got a little bit of a hangman kind of thing going on, right? Most of this is the same. But then you got that right there. Looks like a little hook hanging upside down. Like one of them little crane games when you go to the arcade, you can try and win that little stuffed animal that it can't ever grab right. Like that little claw right there. You see what I'm saying? But that's the character Pi, which again look just like the way the character Pi do in the ancient Hebrew, but it just has that extra little piece right there. That was not too hard to do. Pi. Now, the one thing about the character pa is that there is an end variant. So end pa is going to look a little different. We'll practice that in a minute. So again, just do some more practice on this. Pa, get that hook. Some more practice. Pa. Just try to get the form down right. Pa. 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 One more. Pa. And that's the character pa. Now, when you do pa at the end, the only difference is that stroke that goes down is going to go exaggerated. It's going to go like, let's see. It's going to look like the way Kyle looked, where it kind of look like a 7 that goes in, but you're going to still have that little hook. So you're going to come across like this, have that line go exaggerated, but then still add that hook there. That's the end pa right there. That's how you remember it. You just got to draw it like that and draw that hook. End pa. End pa. Look, this is how it is, bro. This is how Hebrew is. It's the Assyrian. We all got to deal with it when we use the apps and stuff. Of course, again, ancient Hebrews right here. It's here for you to learn, here for you to know. But you still need to know this too. End pa. Boom, just like that. End pa. End pa. End pa. I'm practicing with you. End pa. Should be practicing too. You don't really learn a whole lot just by watching the class. Just like with any class, when you was in school, you didn't take no notes, you didn't pass no tests. And if you did, you a special mother, because I sure as hell couldn't do that. I have a terrible memory. All right, but most people will learn better by actually practice the writing. Boom. Get that end pa right there. Now we got tazah. Tazah ain't exactly like the way this looks. Instead, think about how we remember when we drew A, how we came across like that. I want you to do the same thing with tazah. You're gonna go across like that, except instead of making it look like an I, we're gonna make it look like something else, where we go up like this, and then we draw a line that goes across like that. So don't get those two mixed up, because it's easy you might get mixed up, accidentally write an ah when you're supposed to not. Instead of you drawing that line right here, you're just finishing that line like as if we're doing the character ka right here, where it comes across. So I try to keep that same form. So when you're doing tazah, practice it like this. Go across like this, boom, come up like this, tazah. Go across like that, and then finish it. Cross like that, finish it. Tazah. You ain't got to do it exactly how I do it, but this is how I do it, and this is how I remember it. Tazah. Coming in, doing more of the Hebrew here. Tazah. Tazah. Now, tazah does have an end variant. Got another end variant for y'all. Except the line that goes beyond is the one on the left and not the right. A lot of our ones that go beyond are the ones that just go straight down like that. Wah. And we had a wah variant that went further down. Oh, no, my bad. That's Nas. I'm tripping. Where's Nas? Nas right here. So far, our end variants are ka, ma, na, pa, and tazah. Okay? Now let's write some of these end tazahs right here. So again, tazah. End tazah is going to be like this. Draw a line, come across like that. Doesn't need to be straight down. That's okay. You can get away with that. It technically goes a little bit out like that to the right. Okay? So you got tazah. Tazah. Just like that. Let me see. Tazah. Tazah. One more. Tazah. Y'all understand? So Tazah and in Tazah, that's how they look. I want to practice that form so you can get it right. If you need to, rewind the video. Don't just do it one time and think you got it down pat. It's not easy to do off of one rip. Sometimes it takes a couple pages of getting it right. Now, this is where things are a little tricky because we're used to writing the character R when we're writing in English. So Qua kind of sort of has that same style, but it's like not complete and it doesn't actually connect. So when you do the character Qua, you're gonna actually write it, start with the line, then start right here where you're going in, but don't touch that line. Just don't touch it. That's the key to the whole form of writing Qua in the Assyrian is you don't touch it and you don't go all the way out like that because then again that's gonna look like something else, right? So it just goes across, comes back in about halfway down that line, pops out just a little bit. Okay, that's Qua right there. There's no invariant, so you're good on that. Qua, okay, Qua, Qua. All right, Qua. Qua. Now, this could get you a little bit mixed up with Tazah in the ancient Hebrew. So don't let those get mixed up. Okay. Let Tazah be what Tazah is supposed to be and stick. Like when it comes to doing one alphabet over the other, it's like you got to stick with one. The only reason why I take the ancient Hebrew and transliterate to the ancient Hebrew on the fly is just so that y'all get a better visual of it with the ancient characters. To me, that makes it easier to learn. So I just do that for y'all. But it's very easy to get them mixed up if you don't remember exactly which one's which. So again, Qua is pretty much what it looks like right here. Okay. And think of also too, kind of like a question mark, but with a line right here and without that dot. But that line kind of comes down like that. So that's another way that you can remember it too. All right. Ra is actually probably the most simple one. It's a regular size stroke. Don't get it mixed up with Ya, because again, Ra is gonna take a normal amount of space. Ya is gonna be up here, hovering a little bit above the baseline where you're writing. So again, don't get those mixed up. But Ra, pretty straightforward. When you draw your capital R and your lowercase r, you'll notice that Ra actually looks like a lowercase r that's facing backwards a little bit. So you're just gonna go and draw it like this, Ra. Again, don't get it mixed up with Wa. Gotta come out a little more. Boom, just like that. So don't get too lazy on that first part. Don't just drop it in like that. You want to make sure to go all the way across and then down. All the way across and down. Ra. 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 That right there is how you draw that character. You understand? Ra. Just a couple more left, and then we'll be good for today. The character Shah is the most accurate with what the Assyrian looked like, but we draw it just a little different. Okay, just draw it like as if you're drawing a rake. Shah. There's any character that actually looks very similar to the ancient Hebrew is Shah, whereas this one actually does look like a tooth coming up like that because you got to go up, down, like a W. Character Shah in the Assyrian, you're just the way I draw it is that I'll make sharp lines like this, come across like that, come up like that, and then draw the middle one, Shah. And these do connect, all right? So these are all connected together. So again, coming across like that, Shah. 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 Y'all see how I'm doing that? Shah. You don't got to go all crazy like that. Just try to keep it compact. Don't make any of them too exaggerated over the other ones. Try to make them consistent. Shah. That's the character Shah right there. Last character for the day is Tha. 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 So let's practice that. I'm gonna cross like this. Now, you'll notice that some of these strokes you'll see throughout the whole alphabet, right? Like ka, for example, or ba. The difference between them and tha is instead of you having a stroke that comes across or that goes beyond it, you're adding another leg right here. You understand? So you're coming across like this, you're adding that leg right there, tha. Across like this, adding this one here, tha. Like that, and like that. Tha. Boom, boom, boom. Tha. That's tha right there, all right? Tha. And so that is the Assyrian Hebrew alphabet. I'm gonna leave on the screen for y'all to take a couple of looks at while I step away from the board so I'm not blocking the screen. This gives you a chance to copy down the alphabet in both forms. Okay, it's just top to bottom. A, ba, ga, da, ha, wa, za, ka, ta, ya, ka, la, ma, na, sa, I, pa, ta, za, kwa, ra, sha, and tha. That's gonna be your ancient and modern Hebrew alphabets right there. I'm gonna leave that on the board for a second. Let's see if there's any questions in the chat. Big up to Trooper Adanya Alu on getting raised up to the rank of Trooper. It's an excellent time for you to come in and practice this Hebrew. So big ups to y'all brothers that tuned in, especially those that stuck through the whole, the whole class today. Definitely appreciate y'all getting a chance to come out here and practice the Hebrew with me. It's going to make you stronger with reading and make you stronger as you prepare for the priesthood of the Lord. You understand? And coming back to your ancient heritage. Again, this has been the ancient and Assyrian Hebrew alphabet. Today we focused on the Assyrian Hebrew, going character for character to show you how to write these characters in a good, proper form. It's going to be consistent. It's going to help you, with the reading and writing and everything. All right, and with that, this is the ISUPK that started out at 1 West, 125th Street, Harlem, New York, under Commanding General Yohana. Again, we are here to teach the truth of the Bible to so-called Black, Hispanic, and Native American Indians are the real Israelites according to the scriptures. And with that, Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahushua Barakatham to all the brothers. Yahweh Alatan Ba'ashem Yahushua to all the sisters. Shalom. Ready for camp or what, you folks?